This past week has been interesting as we work to try to put together a bill on reconciliation to make sure that the Trump tax cuts get extended so that Americans don't see a huge tax increase later in the year. We're still working on that, exactly how to do that, and still working on finishing our appropriation bills.
They are murdering people to steal their organs. Wholesale happens every day in China. And if you're a Uyghur, and I have a member of the Chinese Communist Party, an official, who needs a heart, and I look through the genotypes and you're a match, but we're gonna schedule his heart transplant at 600 Wednesday morning, and you're gonna go missing.
And here in Congress, we will assist with legislation like the Laken Riley Act, and we will provide the funding for the border wall, border guards, and the legal resources to clean out the many bogus asylum claims. And a message to all the countries who are part of the problem: the era of the U.S. playing the fool ends now. Do not empty your prisons or coddle drug and human trafficking cartels at our expense, or you will face consequences.
My friends, we are in the fight of our lives. Right now, billionaires, MAGA extremists, and power-hungry politicians are mounting a hostile takeover of our government. They aren't coming through the front door of democracy.
He's a problem solver. He looks at a problem in a common sense way. He doesn't automatically put a Republican or Democratic spin on it. He says, how do we solve the problem? He talked to the experts. He put those ideas in place, and the border crisis went away in his first term.
America is indeed at a fork in the road. Do we want qualified, respected workforce serving us, or do we want an army of clueless yes men working to serve the selfish rich? I know what I want, what the American people want, and what the people deserve: a government that works for them. Thank you to our federal workforce and our civil servants.
Over the last 4 years, Main Street businesses have been fighting to keep their doors open, dealing with the impacts of inflation, misguided regulations, supply chain issues, and an administrative state that does not put their priorities first. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to make lasting changes that will allow our communities in southern Minnesota and across the country thrive.
But one of Linda's proudest achievements was her activism on behalf of the Little Village High School, where she was one of the parents and grandparents who staged a 19-day hunger strike demanding the construction of the school that had been promised to the community but not funded or constructed. Linda embodied the power of courage and resilience.
When she came to my office, Grecia was studying to become an environmental lawyer. She was smart, kind, and passionate about public service. Grecia's warmth and enthusiasm affected everybody she worked with, and despite her own struggles, she arrived every day with the mindset to serve New Mexicans. Her work was truly inspirational, and her family is so incredibly proud of her.
This bill ensures no president can unilaterally ban fracking and keep states in control of their own energy production. Democratic administrations and radical activists have long pushed policies that would make crippling the domestic production, send our jobs overseas, and make life much more expensive for Americans and our allies. We cannot afford to let that happen. Protecting domestic energy production means lower costs, stronger national security, and a future where America remains an energy powerhouse. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation later and stand for American energy independence.
While that's happening, we passed a couple bills. I voted yes on the, the fentanyl bill called?
The HALT All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl.
The HALT Act, which schedules fentanyl and its cursors, the things they make it out of, permanently on the illegal drug schedule, so that our law enforcement folks can do their job, and that the fentanyl producers can't just change the formula a little bit and then say, well, this is legal now, which is what they do. So this makes sure it's on the schedule. Law enforcement knows they can do what they need to do to try and end this thing, this crisis that's happening around our country, and keep our streets safe. So I voted yes on that. And then we had another one that precludes the federal government from banning hydraulic fracturing. If you want to do that in your state or your district or what have you, that's your business. But the federal government shouldn't be in the business of just taking that ability off the table completely.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am proud to support H.R. 26, the Protecting American Energy Production Act. The previous administration made it their mission to undercut our energy sector, adding burdensome regulations at every opportunity. In my home state of Oklahoma, upstream oil and gas activities contribute to over 278,000 jobs and bring in billions of dollars in revenue.
Yeah, what the Department of Defense routinely says is that if you get rid of USAID, you have to buy us twice as many bullets. Because USAID tries to combat instability around the world, tries to prevent civil conflict that would draw the United States into war. So when USAID disappears, it puts our military members at risk. Now, that doesn't matter to Donald Trump and his Mar-a-Lago crowd because their kids aren't going to serve in these conflicts.
We've recently uncovered some of the ridiculous ways USAID and the U.S. State Department has wasted American taxpayer dollars. While Communist China continues to push its dangerous Belt and Road Initiative and expand its global presence, our government has been focused on pushing DEI and other woke projects overseas. Congressional Democrats and unaccountable bureaucrats don't seem to want the American people to know just how much money they're wasting. Let's take a look at some of the worst examples of the USAID and the State Department have spent your money. $446,700 to promote the expansion of atheism in Nepal. $1 million to boost French-speaking LGBTQ groups in West and Central Africa. $14 million in cash vouchers for migrants at the southern border. $20,600 for a drag show in Ecuador. $47,020 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for an LGBTQ-centered comic book in Peru. $3,315,446 for being LGBTQ in the Caribbean. $80,000 for an LGBTQ community center in Slovakia. $3.2 million to help Tunisian migrants readjust to life in Tunisia after deportation. $1.5 million to promote job opportunities for LGBTQ individuals in Serbia. $70,884 for a musical to promote DEI in Ireland. $2.5 million to build EV charging stations in Vietnam. $425,622 to help Indonesian coffee companies become more climate and gender friendly. House Republicans and the Trump administration are committed to exposing and ending waste, fraud, and abuse like this in our federal government. We want to ensure Americans' tax dollars go towards policies that serve American interests, not the left woke agenda.
Take Elon Musk, for example, which, by the way, bringing up Politico, their latest article says that polling finds Elon Musk unpopular. I'm sure it was bought and paid for by USAID, right? And so, but, you know, looking at it, this is information. This is just, here's the information, you digest it, and then you can make a decision. We're not like putting a spin on it.